Hi guys, welcome back for another one. Today I have another roster for you guys today. Another late spender, 50 days in the game. Once again, Maverick Agos, it could not be here this week. So it's another one where I am flying solo, maybe. If you guys are ready for one that is very packed and loaded, you know what to do. Sit back, relax, and let's get into it. Today's roster review is Carnaway, and I have a very special guest to help me with this one, Nico. And
hey guys.
He is here to really help me with one part of this roster review, but let's get started with what Carnaway has asked for. I'm in the legendary notes of my second DD4 run, so he's very close to getting himself Big Daddy Doom. I am the smallest TCP in my alliance, so I need to improve my war offense and defense. We run regular Doom 60% daily. I'm the last lane and struggle on bio. Would love to know if there's some T4s that would help. I also run Pimtech Wakanda lane and difficulty 3 Gamma. I am the weakest link and cannot finish my lane. Well, the first thing I'm going to start with here, Nico, is if you're the smallest TCP in your alliance, I don't know your alliance and I don't know your leader, but it seems a very jerkish move to give your smallest guy, probably with all the reworks, the hardest lane to do now. Like, would you agree with that? Is that the hardest lane at this point?
It's the only lane I've ever done, so it's the only one I ever know.
Well, okay, good. I'm glad I have you here for this one then. So I was going to show him some graphics of things that I made up in the past, like what. So assuming that he does have the resources to complete this, what's the team that you would recommend that he build to finish Gamma?
Oh no, sorry. On Doom, that's my lane. I don't have that on Gamma.
Oh, okay. We were talking about Gamma.
That's a tricky one, right?
Yeah.
Because it's going to be mostly reliant on the red stars that he has.
Yeah.
Right. That like Killmonger, for example, is really good on Wakanda. He's got a lot of utility, but if he has a 3R Killmonger, I'm not going to tell him to put red stars into him, right?
Yeah. That's a great point. Let's jump over to his MSF.gg and let's give it a look. So the filter here, let's take a look at it. It's Wakanda and Pimtech. So let me look at his Wakandas real quick. He's got 5 red on Shuri, which is Shuri's to me is the definite in this mixture. Ghost, most players are going to invest in Ghost already, so Ghost is the second in this investment. And then from there, M'Baku and Koye, don't worry about them, even though you got 5 red on them. But you're talking about Killmonger and Black Panther, they're tied. Which usually in either team mechanic you have, you want either both of them or you need at least one of them in the team combo. And most cases I say take Killmonger over Black Panther. So there is an investment opportunity there. Do you want to take a look at his Pimtech before you say anything?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, let's go to Pimtech. And he has already invested his Ghost of the Moon. Stature. Oh boy, you got 6 red in Stature. Build Stature as part of this team for sure. She's usually the recommended 4th character because then it comes down to who do you want, Yellowjacket or Black Panther. And you have a 6 red Yellowjacket, so I'm assuming you want to go Ghost, Yellowjacket, Stature, Shuri, Killmonger. Nico, thoughts? Do you agree? Disagree? What do you think?
Yeah, definitely Yellowjacket. Now, Stature.
I run Stature. I run the other lane with Kree Pimtech, and I run Stature.
Yeah, I have a 5R Stature, and I've been using her. I kind of switch between her and Ultimus, but that's neither here nor there. Yellowjacket is awesome. He's really squishy, right? And he gets overlooked for sure. But one of my friends is running a similar thing. He's using Yellowjacket, and with a 6R, his ult actually kills regularly, which allows him to attack more people again. So he definitely is helping me there. So there's no way you would want to drop him. With that 6R Stature, yeah, I would agree too that you could put her in. I mean, she's kind of considered to be one of the worst tanks in the game. But if you're having at least 3 of those Pimtech, then it'd be worth it. And the Wasp and Ant-Man, I mean, they're not even 7-star.
No.
I wouldn't recommend bringing them in. So yeah, I agree with you that it would pain for me to tell a player to invest in their 4R Killmonger, but I mean, you got to use what you got, and yeah.
I mean, if he hasn't cleared all content in the game yet, at least there's still use for Killmonger. But yeah, he does. After that, there's really no use for him. So All right.
Well, and Killmonger's pretty neat too if you think about it. Like he got like a revival in the mercenaries, like on defense,
Yeah.
and then on the skill military. So it kind of seems like there's always like something for him to do, right?
Yeah.
So
All right. So with that said, that's our recommendations for Gamma. Assuming that your alliance leader won't let you take something a little bit easier that you may have already invested in as being the lowest collection power. But definitely investing in 6R guys. They'll be a nuisance on more defense if that's where you choose to put them. Let's move on, and we're gonna talk about war here in a little bit later. First, let's move on. He asked about bio if he had the right T4s for his symbiotes. He's struggling in the bio lane. So let's take a look at his symbiotes here. He's got a Carnage, 6 red Carnage. He's got, Symbiote Spider-Man, a lot of early players are definitely not going to have him maxed out. And he is only 450 days in, so I imagine that he probably missed some of the early milestones on him. Anti-Venom, a 5/5, the same thing I have currently. Venom, Scream. Scream is a squishy one in the bunch, and obviously is also in this mix the one that's invested into the least star-wise. T4s. I'm trying to think of any T4s. He has none on Venom. Is there any T4s here that you think that he's missing? All right. So, that's it. Carnage, you definitely don't need to do his special. And I think his ult just adds more damage. I don't think it really adds more bleeds. And then they can be resisted anyway. So, do you think he's fine as is? Maybe just the anti-venom is about the only thing you can see a possible change.
yeah, the anti-venom pass. I mean, to be honest, he has more T4s on his symbiotes than I do.
Okay. I didn't
I don't
compare
think
my.
they're wasted. But...
I don't remember which T4s I have or don't have, so I'm assuming they look good. I'm assuming that they're better than mine. But yeah, that's about it. So that's it there. So let's get into basically what I've asked Nico here for war. We're going to look at all of his roster. I don't know if Nico has some specific he wants to take a look at, but he asked specifically war offense and defense. What can he do to improve overall? You take it away. You're the captain of the ship now.
All right. So first thing I do when I do roster reviews on my channel as well, we'll talk about me later. And one of the first things that I'm noticing here, it looks like he's putting gear into like looking at Sharon Carter. There's one thing there on the right.
Yeah.
And looking at Shatterstar, he's got 2 on like that. I tell players to avoid doing those kind of things. Don't bother taking up a character to the next until you're ready to take them up to the next gear level.
Yeah.
Right, so that would be the first thing I would point out. But specifically with war, well, so being the smallest TCP in your alliance, you should be more focused on offense than defense, right?
Yeah.
It should be the bigger players that are turtling up because you don't have the TCP to do it, right? What is that line? The line that I stole from Civilization that you stole from me? If you chase 2 rabbits, you will lose them both.
Yes.
Right. So, like looking at your heroes for hire, quickly here, none of them are G14. So, like, you could almost punch across that team quite easily, even with Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
So, like, as soon as you put one of them at G14, now you got to take the team really serious. And by one of them, I mean Colleen or Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm not telling you to run out and G14 them. I'm just pointing this out here.
I think the one thing he could do to make sure is this assess or not. Is someone using an Infinity Watch to beat it? If the answer is yes, it's doing its job. If it's not doing its job. It needs to take an Infinity Watch out. So.
Yeah, that's a good point too. I'm speaking from from our perspective in our alliance,
Yeah.
right? And it looks like the TCP is a little bit different.
Yeah, his TBC viewers can't see it, but we can see it on our screens. He's about 8.5 million currently collection power, which that puts him like 3 million less than me. And the way that I always try to like quantify this to bigger collection power people, it's like when you have a difference in your alliance. Let's say the average team power is 400k. Well, for every 2 million you have more than somebody, that is 5 full teams you have over them. Like, if you think about it that way, then that's the advantage you have. And sometimes I feel like large collection people, total collection power people, don't take that into account that, every 2 million you have over somebody, that's 5 extra teams that you have and they do not. So, and I think that goes over their heads sometimes when we try to explain things to them. So yeah, I want to keep that, everyone watching, like I said, keep that in the back of your mind. If you are a leader or a captain and you have lower people, keep that in mind, especially when you're trying to address issues with them. But let's keep going. What else you see? I mean, anything you want to do, we filter for, I'll be more than happy to do it. So you tell me what you want to see.
Just keep scrolling down.
Sure.
I think there's no red flag so far.
Okay.
So another thing I look for is add characters that he invested in. It doesn't look like he has any. Like these all look like, if you look at any competitive player, they're gonna have all these characters built up.
Yeah.
Basically, right?
Yeah. I mean, definitely 450 days in, he's had to invest top heavy to get to the end game at this point. Like any player that's a year in and you're at the end game, free to play, it's going to take you longer than a year, but a spender, you get there in a year. You did it in a record amount of time. I want to let you know that you did it in a record amount of time. And someone took 2 years to almost get to the end of the game. So
that's the other thing too. He was able to avoid investing in characters like we did, right?
Yeah.
Like he didn't have to build up his Yondu to get through, U5 or whatever, right?
Yeah. Do you want to take a look at the bottom of his roster? Sometimes I find more opportunities there than I do looking at the top end.
Yeah, it all kind of looks the same as everyone else's on the top.
All right, let's look at the bottom part. All right. So as of giving me his roster, it looks like he may have not expended in Cloak. He is a light spender, so he's on a restricted budget. So it's possible he just can't afford every new character comes out. He might skip Cloak. Let me see. We got, some other ones you don't see. I mean, I know there's a Namor that some people do things with. I know you told me you took out you took out a Brotherhood Doom team with a Namor, didn't you not?
Yeah, by accident. My X Factor I would keep Namor on as the 5th.
Yeah.
And I've been normally using Rhino with him for the blinds, and I forgot to swap him out, and I still pulled a win.
I'm jealous. You got to leave his Jessica Jones at level 30. Seeing some remnants of some old teams. Oh, here's an opportunity. I think you're gonna call this one out right here. Right, I see it right there. With Yelena Belova. The Skilletary. I heard they could take care of quite a few of the lower level teams at this point.
Yeah, you can still use them on mercenaries and stuff, right? Basically, It needs to have villains because all your damage is coming from Punisher.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I was never particularly convinced with them.
Okay.
They just didn't seem work, even with the rework. And you would want the high red stars on Yelena and Punisher. So he's got a 2R.
Yeah.
Though he should consider farming her for the training event. But
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know personally, I have not had personal experience with Elena. I've heard some stories, but I do know, I know the next time the training event comes around, I'm 7-star in the darn thing, so she's definitely going to get some investment from me at this point. She's already done. I just gotta, make time for it. All right, I keep some other things here. I do see 2 other characters that you just see on defense, Electro and Swarm. And he does have Doc Ock unlocked, so I'm surprised. He might just run these guys with a large Dark Ock, because we all know how painful a Dark Ock can be, right?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you get players that they max out their Doc Ock and they put them on as a 5th on their Marauders or something like that.
Yeah, you could be doing
right?
that, yeah.
I disagree with that personally because, I mean, Swarm and Electro can do quite a bit of damage, right? Especially people underestimate them.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel if you're going to build a Doc Ock, you may as well at least put resources in the other 2. And it's not like Spider-Verse gets ignored, right?
Yeah.
Because people like Spider-Man, so they'll eventually get work put into them. So if you could at least top them up to level 60, get them a 6664, and then just kind of assess from there, right? Because I mean, if you have a 180k Doc Ock and you have a bunch of 60k mooks, you still have to use a good team against it, right?
Yeah. I mean, with Electro and Swarm, it's like the Doc Ock. If you put them on, you put a powerful Doc Ock onto another team, right? It's still going to get that powerful counter no matter what. As where if it was just a big Doc Ock by itself with some lower level Sinister Six characters, especially Electro and Swarm, if people mismanage that because they don't take in the CP of Doc Ock, you win. You win. I can't tell you how many times I've seen solo Doc Ocks remain in war. It drives me nuts.
Yeah.
So I mean, there might just be better. I mean, it doesn't look like anything big, but people. I mean, in his alliance, I mean, who knows what they face? We might be platinum too, and people are a little smarter there. But So
In
we'll see.
theory.
In theory. Um, he's definitely not rocking a big Mercs. Maybe he is going offense first because there's the right guard and Mark Lieutenant.
Yeah.
So I mean, he might be rocking offense first.
Well, he should be. I mean, like the Fury. I wanted to point that out. That kind of pained me because he gets good use now. I understand. You know, a few months ago, somebody told you to work on Fury. You tell them to back off, right? Because that would be bad advice. But he works really well with Kestrel, and you can use them with Secret Avengers and Kestrel, and they can do amazing things. They can even take a Shang-Chi Heroes for Hire on punch downs, right? But they can do it. His problem is he's got to farm Kree to get higher built up Nick Fury.
Yeah.
But with that said, your Nick Fury can die early on, and as long as you get that special off in the beginning, which will give everybody like more boost and offense up for that particular team, it's not bad. It would be nice to see more love put into him, but it is what it is. I'm not going to tell you to go farm 5 Kree minions for. By the time you do it, they'll be obsolete. That's just how the game is, right?
Yeah. All right. So I mean, just looking at some other things here. I mean, the Mystique doesn't really matter that much. You could replace her in the team if you wanted to.
Well, she's actually really important for the Marauders.
But for the healing aspect, yeah.
Well, yeah, because she gets all the buffs from her go to everyone else, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you wouldn't want to drop her on that team.
I've seen her dropped in a few wars. I've seen people drop her. That's why the only reason why I said that. But Sabretooth's the one who gets dropped more often than not. But
yeah, he's useless. Yeah, I've gone against 7R Sabretooths, and it doesn't really make a difference.
She-Hulk, we've seen his Fantastic Four. They weren't invested in, so I'm not even sure why he invested here, to be honest, if he didn't invest in Fantastic Four. Because as far as I know, she doesn't work in any other team combo.
Yeah, that's my other question here. If you notice, like, you're looking at the levels here, there's a lot of level 48s, level 54s, level... Yeah. Honestly, unless I'm going to take them... I blitz a lot. I blitz hard. Right, I get into the top 1,000 regularly, and considering my TCP size, that's pretty impressive. And I take a character from level 1 to 60, and then they stay there, right? Because that's when you get all the T46664, and you get like good use out of them on their teams. So I would never tell a player to take their She-Hulk to G14 or 15 just for the sake of doing it or for blitz, but to me, it's like wasted resources when you're leaving them at level 48 because they're really not contributing anything, right? If you look at their last passive, sometimes it's like 10% max health to everybody, but you only get that at level 60, right? So that would be another thing to consider. I'm not sure if you're a blitzer, but it might not seem like much until you look at how many of your characters that you've done it to, and that adds up into millions of gold.
And I think we're getting into a point where this is going to start crossing over this RNGS. We're in the middle. We're in the middle part between the bottom and the top. So most of these are like just like kind of nitpick things you can do better. Strife's one of those. The bigger the Strife, the more successful Marauders are. But there's so many counters for them anymore that even that doesn't work out so well. Yeah, I'm just trying to see what he's rocking here. He's got an Invisible Woman. I imagine he's probably doing some kind of... She-Hulk's still not invested enough to do some kind of combo between the two of them. But I don't know. Anything else you want to add here? Like I said, these are some suggestions that come out. It's always really messy to do offense and defense without actually seeing what they're currently using for offense and defense. If I probably put that recommendation out there. Anyone who wants a roster review, especially when you talk about defense, you're going to have to send me a picture of what your current defense is. I can't improve it if I don't know what it looks like. Let's put it that way. So hopefully somewhere in this conversation between Nico and I, you pick some things out that you can do. There's always... You got to choose your battles in this game, like I said, or you'll just constantly never get ahead. And if you just beat one thing, you get the maximum amount of resources in that one thing. That allows you to invest in the other thing to help you try to catch up in that also. And that's kind of what I really recommend to players. Like, focus on one thing, beat that one thing, and then do the next. All right. That's pretty much it. Caraway's roster. Anything you'd like to add, Nico?
So I'm just looking at a bunch of your teams. It looks like you have a bunch of characters that are like level 55, level 60, and you're like, if you want to scroll up a bit, like his X-Force kind of caught my eye that I noticed his Deadpool was 6R and his Cable was 6R, but his X-23 was only a 3R, and she's the one that you need to do the majority of the damage, right? And so
I can't post characters. Go ahead.
Just stop there. Stop there. You're good.
All right.
Right.
So
my advice for you to be very careful with this. But when you're at this point, it looks like you're trying to play catch up a little bit. And so if I told you, oh, work on your X-Force, I think that's bad advice. There's so many other mutants that you can work on, right?
Yeah.
But if you have a good team, right, and you throw on your Invisible Woman, it sounds kind of counterintuitive, right? But especially on defense, you put your enemies into situations where they underestimate your team and they give you a win, or they overestimate it and punch down with something ridiculous that could have been used elsewhere, right? So you don't necessarily need to build up your Brotherhood too, right? You got a big juggernaut there, right? Put resources into him, put resources in your Magneto, and then you slap them with, I don't know, the 3 Fantastic Four members that have good red stars. It's actually going to work. I'm not telling everyone to go out and do that. I'm saying specifically regarding his red stars. In some situations, characters work like that. If he throws his Star-Lord, Negasonic, and Electro together, it's not going to work, right?
Yeah.
But certain combinations like Magneto and Juggernaut, like it's like peanut butter and jam. Like they work really well together, right?
Yeah.
The Phoenix and Colossus, right? So that would prevent him from having to work on his Toad and his Blob and other characters that aren't going to help him complete any content that, you know, came out 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So I would specifically look for combinations like that and try to mix teams together, because it can work. Sometimes I want to slap my face when I see Mr. Free to Play's attacks, like when he uses his defenders on offense, right? But then he gets a win, and he's not doing it because he's inept. He's looking at his team and he's like, these guys have synergy. They're facing against these people. This is going to work. And then he wins. Right? So, yeah, it wasn't the cookie cutter team, but he was able to use his resources wisely to get a win. And actually, in my upcoming war review, I call it like the Mr. Free to Play show, because I have 3 of your attacks I'm showing off.
All right, cool.
And you're not getting made fun of. Don't worry.
All right. All right. And speaking of that, if Nico does do war reviews, they're really, really good. I've watched them myself. He also does sometimes does roster reviews on his channel also. So if you guys want to check him out, his YouTube, and you also do Twitch now too. So his YouTube and his Twitch will be down in the description of this video if you guys want to go check him out. I highly recommend it. I like to appreciate you last minute jumping on here and helping me out today. I was like, I had a war one. I was like, I really didn't want to do a war one by myself. So I'm glad you were able to jump on and help me out today. So thank you. And you guys at home, if you guys enjoy this roster review or would like to get your own, I'm going to show you guys how to do that now. Are you interested in having your roster reviewed by Maverick and I in this quick format roster review, helping you out in a game mode or two? If you are, all you need to do is join my Discord. The link to that is in the description down below. Then all you need to do is find the video section, find roster reviews, and there you'll find the latest roster review application where you can submit your request to have your roster reviewed by Maverick and I in a YouTube format. So if you need help clearing any content in the game, don't hesitate, apply today. And now that you guys have seen it all, I do appreciate you guys. Hit that thumbs up button. If you're new here and haven't done so already, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys for the next one. Bye.